Hi, I'm Gracie. I'm an assistant trainer here at Copeland Farms, and today we're going to go over how to clean your bridle. So here I have one of our lesson horse Cinder's bridles. So first things first, what I do after I have it hung up, I'm going to start by cleaning the bit. So I'll come over here, give it a good rinse, make sure if she had any treats before the ride or anything like that, I get that all off best I can. And sometimes there's some sticky stuff like grass that'll stay on the bit, and so after I rinse it, I'll come hang it back up. I'm gonna take a bit sponge. We use these green Epona ones, Eponia, however you say that. And I'll scrub the corners of the bit here, the bit rings, just so there's no residue left over. So here you can see that our bit is mostly clean. There's a few pieces that are still left that are a little grimy. So I'm gonna take my rag, wipe that off after scrubbing if needed. Sometimes the bit will just be clean with just a little rinse, and then you'll still wipe it off just like so. Next, what I like to do in our bit cleaning process, you're gonna take a clean rag. I'm just using a washcloth. We usually keep them underneath with all of our lesson cleaner. And I'll just wet down a corner of the rag. So now that it's just a little damp, right, like I squeeze out the excess, I'm gonna wipe it over all the leather and try and get off all that, any surface dust from the arenas, that top layer of sweat underneath. So I'm going over it everywhere. When I clean the bridles, I take it out of the buckles. I'm not gonna unbuckle the bridle, but I am gonna take it out of the keepers here, just to make sure I can get underneath. Because here you can see that there's sweat filled up, so we have to make sure we get everything nice and clean. And then depending on the type of rein, so if there's ever any rubber here on the reins, I won't wipe that down, but the leather underneath and kind of at the back of the reins I always will. For reins like Cinder's that are all leather, we'll wipe that down completely. But you don't want to get any soap on rubber because it can make it feel quite sticky and difficult to ride in.
And not fun.
Yes. Okay. So here you can see how much dirt I got off just by using a damp washcloth. Okay, next what we'll do, I'm gonna grab some saddle soap. You'll see because it'll say saddle soap. This is how we can confirm that we are actually using the correct leather soap. I'll get my sponge a little bit damp. Sometimes they're in the containers or sometimes they're underneath. So I just kind of wring out any excess. And then I'm gonna come through, go over the bridle like this. So anywhere that there's stitching, it's really important to make sure we get all of that sweat and stuff out so we don't have any fraying of the stitches. And every time I clean my tack, it's a really good way to check and make sure everything's in good, safe working condition. Nothing might break when I ride, and then just see if anything needs any repairs. So I'm gonna come through, kind of go around the keepers, make sure any sweat that's there is off. Do the inside of the noseband here. So now that we have our soap on, I'm going to grab the same rag I used earlier. I'm going to use the dry side. I'm going to go through anywhere I just put soap on. I'm just going to run the dry part of my washcloth over to wipe off any soap residue or gunk. Make sure that's all coming off here. And then once it looks like everything is clean and the soap residue is off, I'm going to take my keepers, or sorry, the ends of my leather and tuck them back through the keepers, like so. Now that we've cleaned our bridle, we need to condition it. So I'm gonna take a different sponge and some leather conditioner. And I'm just gonna put a very small amount, but just like our skin barrier, we need to make sure that the leather is kept hydrated so nothing breaks. So I'll just take a little small amount and I'm gonna do the inside. Just wipe it all over. And so by the time I'm finished conditioning my bridle, it should look like it's a little shiny, but not super greasy. Because if you put too much conditioner on, then the next person needs to wipe it off before they ride. So you want to make sure that it's just enough that it can soak into the leather and absorb. And it's really important too with the conditioner to make sure you get by anywhere that there's a buckle, so that way that leather stays soft over that stress point. So go here, do my conditioner. And then when you're conditioning the reins, anywhere that there's keepers, I won't put my conditioner on. I'll just do the front ends of the bridle, that way the leather isn't slippery when you ride. Today I'm going to teach you how to wrap up the lesson bridles so that you can put them away. So first things first, now that we have our clean bridle here, I'm just going to take my reins, make sure they're straight, put them up over the crown. Next, what you do, you are going to take your throat latch around the front, so we'll kind of figure eight it. I do it 2 to 3 times, then I come back through where the throat latch would buckle. I'm not going to buckle it, I'm going to put it through the keepers, like so. This way it makes it easy to take off. Okay. Next, what we're gonna do, we're gonna take the noseband, same thing. So I'm gonna wrap it around and I'm gonna slide it through the keepers in the front, like so, to keep everything neat. If there were a flash piece here, I would wrap it around the entire bridle like so, underneath, and have it closed in the front. So this makes everything neat and tidy to go hang in the locker.